It is Tuesday night and we are live for the LFOD Motorsports 111 round number 10 and the first round of the playoffs for the County Road Custom Late Model Challenger Series. Tonight we have a huge field of drivers, 38 entries. Going to be going for 30 spots in tonight's feature event. I am Jeff By Jr., joined by Bill Tomer in the ITZR broadcast booth. And Bill, huge field, but it all comes down to these 8 guys that are racing for the playoff spots. 2 of them are going to be eliminated after tonight.
I actually had to look up, Jeff, to see if you were serious about 38, but we didn't give ourselves a whole lot of time. As we looked up, we said, holy cow, it's time to go racing. We're about to go qualifying, Jeff. 38 spots. They're going to be running for 30 spots starting in the A main, but 22 going to go directly from qualifying.
Wisconsin Weeds and Walleyes qualifying, $5 on the line from whoever sets fast time. And Bill, this is a straight up start tonight. So whoever sets fast time, they will start from the pole in tonight's feature event. Huge advantage, especially if you're one of those playoff drivers that can make or break your race, right? You definitely don't want to be going home in the B main. And that would pretty much settle you out of making the next round of the playoffs.
Yeah, that'll be the most likely, unless there's some sort of miracle, which I can't even figure that out. But that would be the end for you, as we're watching Ricky Howell take his qualifying lap. You can see the banner on the top of that windshield. That is a playoff driver. Ricky Howell with the yellow banner on the top. That will signal that is a playoff driver. I don't know how many of the cars got them on there, Jeff, but I know I've seen more than one.
Yeah, I believe Bladen Edwards did, as he went to the top of the board briefly there. Now, he got bumped by Ricky Howell, who goes 21.645, one of your playoff drivers. Another one, Blake Thronberg, playoff driver, goes 21.667, goes P2. Jason Warren, here to play spoiler, goes 21.677 for third fastest. Reagan Perrin, a playoff driver, goes 4th overall with another contender, Bladen Edwards, in the 5th spot. Keep an eye on those playoff guys. Cody Boehm currently 8th on the board. JP Bergeron 9th. Still waiting to see Braxton DeWeese take to the racetrack for qualifying. Looks like he just ran a lap. He's going to go right in front of JP Bergeron, so move him up in the 8th spot. David Hill with a 6th fastest so far. 21.691 for David Hill. That's a nice lap for him. Kevin Ammon, new guy who won earlier this season, only ran a few races here in the Challenger Series. He's sitting 9th overall.
Kieran Church out on the racetrack. He's another one of those playoff drivers. He goes to P7. So a lot of these guys grouping together here, Jeff.
Yeah, that's
the front of the top 10 and the back of the top 10.
Yeah, that's all of the playoff drivers in the top 12. So 8 of the playoff drivers in the top 12. JP Bergeron, the last of those in qualifying, but they all found their way to the front here in qualifying when it mattered. Jake Huckins in the Facebook chat. Remember, if you're hanging out with us, like and share the stream. Let us know who you're cheering for tonight. Just about 4 seconds left of qualifying. Doesn't look like Drew Chance is going to get a lap in. So he will go to the B main. And it looks like Ricky Howell going to pick up a Wisconsin Weens and Walleyes Quick Time Award. We'll start from the pole tonight with Jason Warren, Braxton DeWeese, Kieran Church, and let's see, Braxton DeWeese. Bill, I guess we're going into B main, so we're going to look for 8 cars from tonight's B main. Moving on to the feature event.
That's going to be 14 cars in tonight's B main event.
So on the pole for the B main tonight, looking for 8 drivers to move on. The 81, a Michael Grooms. On the outside of him, Mr. Thunderstruck himself, that is Josh Oswald.
Starting in the 3rd position in the number 2 machine, that is Todd Cousins. And on the outside of him, I believe this is his first race with the series in the 49. That's Jake Grout.
Starting 5th, this driver made his season debut in the A main last week. We didn't comment on that, but Sam Westine in the 98 machine going to try to race his way in from the B main once again. On the outside of him in the number 22 machine, it's CJ Grooms.
Starting in the 7th position in the number 27 machine, that is Jason Kezar. And on the outside of him in the 09 car, it is the Joker. It's Elliot Carlson.
Starting ninth in the 0-1 will be Caleb W. Hill. On the outside of him in the 30 machine, it'll be Jacob Bohm.
Kyle Martinson's going to start P11 in the number 07 car, and on his outside in the 156, it's Michael Kirchner.
And starting shotgun on the field, 13th starting position will be the number 18 of Alvin Heers. Doesn't look like Drew Chance is going to take part in this one, so just 37 drivers going for 30 spots. So we are going to cut a few out of here as 13 cars take to the grid in this B main. It'll be 20 laps or 12 minutes, whichever comes first. Bill, kind of a surprise for Kyle Martinson that he is pretty fast, and he did not get a very good qualifying lap in. No practice at all, so he jumped in cold, went into qualifying, going to start 11th in this B main. But keep an eye on the 07. He definitely has some speed.
Well, cars that we're not used to seeing in the B main, the 09 Elliott Carlson as well, as he ran in the late model shootout series last night here. Had plenty of practice running 111 laps last night, and he's going to find himself in the B main here in the late model challenger series.
Driver on the front row, Michael Grooms, kind of a newcomer, South Carolina late model racer, and his brother CJ Grooms going to start 6th in this B main.
I'm okay with South Carolina late model racers, Jeff. That's kind of near and dear to my heart at the moment.
Big fan of them, right?
Big fan.
Well, pace car's going off the racetrack. We are going green for the 20-lap B main event. 8 drivers going to move on to the feature. And Michael Grooms is gone. He has got 2-3 car lanes on Josh Oswald. Oswald able to slot in line. Here comes Todd Cousins, takes over the 3rd spot. Groot is going to fall back to 4th. Sam Westine up to 5th. Looks like CJ Groom's going to settle in 6th. Now the battle's on between Jacob Bohm and Elliott Carlson. Carlson going to let the 30 machine roll by here.
Jacob Bohm going to move up into that 7th spot in that 30 car. He is on the move early, but all of those cars going to qualify in as they run. Kyle Martin, the first man on the outside, looking at his rule transfer, and Jacob Bohm gets really loose off of turn 2, saves it in the 30. I did notice he was loose in practice, Jeff. Jacob Bohm hard on the throttle in that 30 car.
Well, and he started 10th, and he immediately, first lap was up to 7th, and it looks like there was trouble for Caleb W. Hill, who's bringing that car down pit road with some heavy damage, so not sure what happened there, but Jacob Bohm was able to take advantage as several cars got caught up. Kyle Martinson is now just moved in the 8th and final transfer spot ahead of Elliott Carlson.
So Michael Grooms continues to lead. Josh Oswald running 2nd. Todd Cousins running 3rd. You can see that top 8 cars pretty well nose to tail here, as these guys do not want to screw up this race for each other. We'll see if they start to get sideways.
Racing. He's going to lose a spot. He's going to lose 2 spots as Elliott Carlson goes by, takes over the final transfer position.
We just talked about it. Bohm was getting sideways off the corners. You can see him right there, really hard on the throttle, coming off the corner just a little bit too hard. This car will dance on you if you give it too much. That's happening to Jacob Bohm right now. He's trying to find that rear end underneath him. He's dropped out of the transfer positions.
Well, Bill, B main points also matter from this, and I was looking at the standings. Scott Negus, the points leader in the B main, he qualified his way in along with David Hill, Jason Lottridge, and William Griffith. So your top 4 locked themselves in the A main, aren't going to collect any points tonight. That's an opportunity for Sam Westine to gain some points as he runs 5th in this B main.
Got Michael Kirchner. He's struggling in the 156 car. I'm not sure where Michael started me, but he, I know, started towards the middle of the field, towards the back of the field, the 156. But something must have happened early, as he is now in danger of going a lap down in this B main.
Yeah, Michael Grooms is gaining on him quickly, and Kirchner way back behind the field, about 19 seconds. So he needs a caution maybe to catch everything back up. But right now the field has kind of single filed themselves out. Elliott Carlson holds on that 8th and final transfer spot. He's got Jacob Bohm on his tail right now. Jacob trying to get that thing under control. Remember, that car was big time sideways early on, and seems like it's settled in just slightly. They are starting to leave Jason Keyser back in the 10th position. And this whole group is starting to stack up behind the 98 of Sam Westine. The top 4 cars have started to check out. Now CJ Grooms has caught the 98, and they are all starting to line up. The train is forming back there behind the 98 machine.
Yeah, Westine's starting to struggle maybe just a little bit in that 98 car. Like you said, he's got the Daytona draft behind him as he's a little bit up the track in the 98. A problem here, Jeff, if you start to get past it, now you can see Kyle Martinson trying to take the opportunity to go by CJ Grooms. He'll look to the bottom going through 3 and 4. CJ Grooms going to be up the racetrack. When we see somebody do that, they're going to get caught on the outside, and that's not where you want to be here at USA.
Yes, Grooms needs to get down in line. He does. Elliott Carlson going to cut him a break. And Elliott in that 8th and final transfer spot. Looks like he's still going to be under attack here as Grooms just couldn't keep that car from getting sideways off turn 2. Will get back down in line, but now Jacob Boehm has caught this group. So we're about to have a race for that 8th and final transfer spot as Elliott Carlson is starting to feel the pressure from the 30 of Boehm.
Yeah, Boehm all over the back bumper. Elliott Carlson, Boehm going to look to the high side, see if he can do a little bit of over-under here. Now he gets the apron. That car's super loose for Jacob Boehm. He caught the apron. You can't do that. That unloads onto the right rear, and it gets super sideways. You saw Boehm do that. He got really loose off of turn 2 and lost a bunch of ground. Now Elliott Carlson going to try to make the move on CJ Grooms as he's going to look for the 7th spot and put Grooms in the danger zone.
Yeah, Elliott Carlson wants some breathing room, and he gets it there as CJ Grooms falls back in the 8th and final transfer spot. Here comes Boehm. The 30 machine is making his way to the front, and he is trying to get around CJ Grooms for that final transfer spot. Grooms is up the racetrack. Here comes the 30. Kyle Martinson's putting some pressure on Sam Weststein as well for that 5th spot. Just can't quite get around the 98 machine. As again, side by side for the final transfer.
Side by side, they go through 1 and 2. You can see Jacob Boehm sideways again in that 30 car. Jacob seems to have a lot of speed in the 30, but he's struggling with it with the consistency. As every once in a while, he just gets that 30 a little bit too loose. And Jeff, I think that's just because he's driving on the ragged edges. He's going to get loose off of turn 4 and slide up in front of Grooms. Now Grooms going to look to the bottom.
CJ Grooms going to try to get there, doesn't get there, and Jacob Boehm shuts the door. So now Grooms, he's got about 6 laps here to put some pressure on Jacob Boehm. Can he make a mistake? That 30 car is extremely loose. He is struggling with the right rear. So CJ Grooms can put some pressure on him, see if he can force a mistake. It might happen right here as Sam Weststein is under attack from Elliott Carlson just ahead. CJ going to try to go for it again. The 30 shuts the door.
Wetstein got pushed up the racetrack by Kyle Martinson. Elliott Carlson will go by. Now Wetstein slides back to the 7th spot. Here comes Jacob Boehm as he's going to slot in 8th. Right behind them, CJ Grooms is down but not out as he is trying to find a way to get back by Jacob Boehm for that transfer position.
Heck of a race here for the final transfer spot as CJ Grooms sent it in turn 1. That car started to slide a little bit, had to gather it up, cost him about a car length to Jacob Boehm, but Sam Weststein now starting to fall to the clutches of the 30 machine, and Sam's going to have to watch in his mirror right now because he has got 2 drivers behind him, and he can only afford to lose 1 spot here.
You saw CJ Grooms send that car into turn number 3, slid the 22 through the corner. Got to be careful in this late model stock. That'll wear that right rear out. We saw that yesterday, and you can see him get loose off of turn number 2, but he is doing everything he possibly can to try to get up to that 30 car to try to get this transfer spot.
Up front, it's all Michael Grooms leading Josh Oswald. This is the best racing on the racetrack right here. It's Jacob Boehm trying to catch Sam Weststein, trying to take some pressure off himself, put somebody between him and CJ Grooms. But Grooms looked like he struggled a little bit through 3 and 4 that time, cost him some more time to Jacob Boehm. It's now about 4 car lengths back. White flag will be out for Michael Grooms at the start-finish line. Josh Oswald runs 2nd. Jake Grout runs 3rd. But again, can CJ Grooms find a way to catch Jacob Boehm? He needs to gain some time here through 1 and 2.
Weststein slipped off of turn number 4, but Boehm was not able to capitalize. Grooms slipping back now a little bit. Let's jump back to the front, Jeff. The other Grooms, Michael Grooms, going to win the B main. Josh Oswald will finish 2nd. Jake Grout, Todd Cousins, your top 4.
Kyle Martinson going to finish 5th with Elliott Carlson, Sam Weststein, and Jacob Boehm moving on.
Everybody having a little bit of fun after the race as they decide to wreck each other. So we'll get 2 minutes of warm up and look for a word from our, what do we call it, our playoff presenter, Jeff, simrapmarket.com.
SimRap Market Challenge. Drivers, the non-playoff drivers, will be fighting for $25. So the driver that scores the most points over these final 3 races in the playoffs. And they have a little bit of a commercial set up for us.
Sim Wrap Market and their support of the playoffs this season, giving the guys an opportunity that did not make the championship 8 to race for some money at the end of the playoff season. So simwrapmarket.com, go ahead and check them out. And we really appreciate it. It's very cool for them to come up with a commercial as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. It makes us feel like such big-time broadcasters there
Big
with
time.
our commercial. I mean, that's cool. Well, Bill, final warm-ups going on. Just a few seconds left before we start gridding for the LFOD Motorsports 111 here at USA. And this is the first round of the playoffs. And we saw it earlier, top 12 cars, the 8 playoff drivers ended up in the top 12. So like last night, I don't think you can rely on somebody having bad luck tonight. You've got to go out and you got to run your best race, and you have to get it done tonight because, like we saw last night, a 14th place finish, it wasn't good enough to get you into the next round.
Right. Yeah. The top group of guys. Well, that's all going to matter. Where are the top guys finish, right, Jeff? So you said it. That you have to go up to the front. You have to be up at the front. But in this place, I mean, they had to save. They had to pay attention to the tires all night long. So it's going to be a chess game all night. That's going to make this race extremely intriguing as we go through the 111 laps.
Well, we're going to let this field grid for tonight's LFOD Motorsports 111. And make sure you can go check them out on Facebook later tonight. LFOD Motorsports on Facebook. Make sure you go check out simwrapmarket.com. And, of course, our main sponsor, countyroadcustom.com, for custom gifts and unique items over there. And here we go, Bill. Time to start gridding for tonight's LFOD Motorsports 111 on the pole. Your Wisconsin Weeds and Walleyes Quick Time Award winner, the 20 of Ricky Howell. On the outside of him, another playoff driver, the 22, that is Blake Thronberg.
Starting in the 3rd position in the 45 car. It looks like he's going to go back to the back of the field, Jeff. Is that the case?
But yes, with the driver on the outside of him. That whole row going to go back.
Oh, boy. So Jason Warren's going to head to the back. Was slated to start 3rd. Reagan Parent as well. You can see he's on the outside. He's going to the back. He was going to start 4th in the 17.
So your 3rd row is going to become your 2nd row with your playoff driver, Bladen Edwards, start in the 72 car. And on the outside of him, one of the guys trying to play spoiler, not in the playoffs, the number 3, David Hill.
Kieran Church going to roll off P number 7 in the 22 car, and on his outside had a great run last week in this 7 car. It is Kevin Ammon.
Starting night tonight in the 78 machine, a playoff driver, that is Cody Boehm on the outside of him. Another playoff driver. This guy's got a lot of fans on the YouTube channel. We know that. The 8 of Braxton DeWeese.
Mason Johnson rolls off P11 in the number 25 machine into his outside. I guess it would be your points champion for the regular season, Jeff. That's the 18 car of Jean-Philippe Bergeron.
Starting 13th tonight, the 93 of James Pileski on the outside of him. In the 71 machine, it's Uncle Pete, Peter Fisher.
Travis Roma scheduled to roll off. It looks like he's having a couple connection issues and it's rolling off from the 15th position in the 38 car. And on the outside of him, in the number 31, that's Brad Carpenter.
Starting 17th tonight, the 39 machine of Scott Negus on the outside of him. His 2nd start in this series, the 66 of Neil Vinarowski.
Dylan Schreiner's going to roll off P19 and the number 92, and on his outside, it's the ravishing one, the 81 car, Rick Rube.
Starting 21st tonight in the 03, it's Jason Lawridge on the outside of him, and the number 12, it'll be William Griffith.
Michael Grooms, your B main winner, is going to start 23rd in that 81 machine, and on his outside, in the number 17 car, it's Josh Oswald.
Starting 25th tonight in the 49 car, it's Jake Grout on the outside of him, and the car number 2, that'll be Todd Cousins.
Kyle Martin's going to roll off P number 27 in the 07, and on his outside of the 09, it's the Joker, Elliot Carlson.
Starting 29th, this driver making a 2nd A main start, 2 in a row now for the 98 of Sam Weststein on the outside of him. In the 30 machine, it'll be Jacob Boehm. And Bill, as we said, TP3D penalty report. You're going to send Jason Warren to the back with Reagan Parent. And then the 30, Jacob Boehm, also going to go to the back due to previous penalties. Huge hit for Reagan Parent as he comes into the first round of the playoffs, going to start from the back. That is a lot of ground he needs to make up tonight.
A lot of time. He's got lots. 111 laps here is a long, long time, and we'll see how this plays out, Jeff. Last night we saw a ton of green flag racing. This field a little bit bigger, 6 more cars in this field. We had 24 last night, 30 tonight. We'll see how that plays out. As we hope for the same with green flag racing, but we'll see what happens as we move forward, Jeff. We'll have to see. The more yellows we get, you're going to figure that there'll be less tire saving, which usually breeds more yellow. So hopefully they get a nice green flag run to start.
Well, Bill, they're going to go one more lap around, and then Ricky Howell and Blake Throneberg are going to take them to green flag racing here. And you can see the yellow banners. Those are the playoff drivers there. Add in also Kieran Church and Cody Boehm there on the inside line. Don't have those playoff banners on, as well as JP Berger on there on the outside line in car number 18.
Kieran actually does, Jeff. He does have.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing it, so maybe I haven't refreshed quickly enough here.
Looks like Cody Boehm does not. Ricky Howell does. Throneberg does. Reagan decided to give us a pink one.
Yeah, Reagan was having some issues there getting the yellow, apparently, so he's working with the pink banner tonight.
Braxton DeWeese has his.
Well, here we go. Bill Pay's car going to leave the racetrack. It'll be Ricky Howell in control of this start with Blake Throneberg on the outside of him. Bladen Edwards, Ricky's teammate with Peyton Howell in the Monday night series there behind them. And we are off and racing and a little trouble there. And Cody Boehm's going to get turned around, coming to the green.
You're going to stay green. Oh, the yellow does finally come out. Cody Boehm, one of your playoff drivers, not what he was looking for, as he spun before they even got to the start-finish line. We'll try to figure out what exactly happened to him. So he's going to tag to the back of the field. We'll try to figure out what exactly went on here. Looks like the bottom row just something happens to Ricky Howell. Car that started on the pole. We were watching it from a down the straightaway shot. Ricky just doesn't go. Did Ricky ever fire the field, Jeff, or did Throneberg go?
That was the confusion there. Throneberg was asking, because he ended up beating the 20 to the line, and he was asking, if the leader doesn't go, can I go? And no, the answer is no. You need to wait on the leader to go. And Rick and Blake heard green flag from his spotter, and he went, but the 20 didn't go yet, so he had to wait on him.
So that is what happened to the 78 car, as basically the 20 did, once he heard, and this happens all the time, right? Once the 20 car heard that the 22 was going, he did not go full throttle because he wants to make it obvious. But unfortunately, that is bad for most of the guys that are on the bottom lane, as the 78 of Boehm gets tagged. It looked like it was by the 25 of Mason Johnson. The good news for Boehm is he didn't hit anything, so he's going to have a clean race car in the 78.
But a huge hit to track position for Cody Boehm, one of the playoff drivers, going to start at the rear of the field for this race, basically. And that is a huge hit for the 78. This will set us up, Bill, for a single file restart. They did not complete a lap, so we will go single file. We have moved the 22 of Blake Throneberg back behind Ricky Howell, as well as the 3 of David Hill, who had passed the leader. Will restart behind Bladen Edwards in the 4th spot.
So a lot of things happening very quickly in this race.
Yeah, last night I think we went 47 laps or so before we had our first caution. So first caution coming to the green there, not what we want to see. So a slow start here for the LFOD Motorsports 111 for the Challenger Series drivers. But last night is any indication, I think once this thing goes green, especially on this single file restart that we're about to have, that should set us up for a nice green flag run there. This track raced really well last night. I think we were all pretty impressed by it.
The first thing that you have to do to actually be racing, Jeff, is get up to speed. So we don't know anything about this group yet. I'm not going to count my chickens until they can get through turns 1 and 2.
Well, looking at the Facebook chat, Jerry here cheering for the 66 of Inoroski. Jeff By here cheering for Dylan Schreiner in the 92 machine. Justin Brooks here. We gave a shout out to Justin Brooks last night, and he wasn't here. So Justin, You missed it last night. You got a nice shout out because you painted about half the field last night
Yeah.
as the pace car goes off the racetrack. Ricky Howell going to take us green flag racing once again for the LFOD Motorsports 111.
This time, Ricky Howell going to control the field with a single file restart. A lot of cars kind of out back, Jeff. Not a lot of cars packed up in that middle of the field. A lot of them are jumping all over each other as they go through the corner. Jean-Philippe Bergeron to the outside of Braxton DeWeese, and he's going to get checked up by Kevin Ammon.
Yeah, we talked about it might spread this field out having a single file restart. It didn't seem to do that in the middle of the field because Braxton DeWeese and JP Bergeron and Kevin Ammon immediately just started going to racing here. As JP trying to get down in line in front of Kieran Church, he is able to do it. So Kevin Ammon on the outside in the 7 machine under fire from Braxton DeWeese. This is a battle for 5th on the racetrack.
DeWeese did not get off turn 2 very well in that 8 car, but now he's going to look to the bottom through turns 3 and 4. Ammon still up the racetrack. These guys have to keep in mind that the tires will wear out on this race car here at USA Speedway as fast as they're going around this what is it, 3/4 of a mile high bank track.
Yeah, we saw that last night. Caleb Hall drove to the front of the field and just absolutely melted the right rear tire, blew a right rear with about 30 something laps to go.
Yeah.
Just made the move too early. Is out front, Ricky Howell's got some pressure from Blake Thronberg. Thronberg wants the lead. He's going to take it into turn 1. Not much of a battle from Ricky Howell. I think he's in tire conserve mode. But out front now, your new leader, the 22 of Blake Thronberg. And Braxton DeWeese and Kevin Ammon are still side by side. The 7 machine has been able to make this outside line work, and Braxton not able to clear him. JP Bergeron was pushing the 8 machine last time by down the back straightaway, trying to push that 8 past the 7. He's getting a little frustrated, I think, not having anywhere to go, and he wants to see one of these guys clear.
Jeff, when we look at the speed shot on the back straightaway, it absolutely looks like a NASCAR field as they go by. As large as this field is with 30 cars here at USA, pretty awesome shot as they went by just a couple laps ago.
Yeah, it is pretty cool to see them wrapped all the way around this racetrack. 30 cars on this big 3/4 mile speedway, basically. I know it's a short track in most terms, but for these cars, it is like driving a speedway.
Yeah, about 120 miles an hour down the straightaways, dropping to about 80 miles an hour in the corners.
JP is still stuck behind this battle with Braxton DeWeese and Kevin Ammon. And JP got on the apron last time because he had to slow up so much. Is now the 22 of Kieran Church is under fire from Mason Johnson in the 25 machine. Kieran got up the racetrack. Mason Johnson's going to take advantage of that, as well as James Pileski. Here comes the 93 of Pileski, going to try to make a move. So move Kieran back a couple spots here. Should put him back about 10th. It looks like Braxton DeWeese did finally clear Kevin Ammon. And look at JP. He's trying to get going here. He is now racing side by side with a 7. And he's still pushing Braxton DeWeese. Still trying to push that 8 car up the field. And he's going to get in the back of him. He's going to spin Braxton. JP goes around. Kieran Church is involved. That's 3 playoff drivers right there, Bill, collected in this wreck.
Yeah, we watched that live. JP Bergeron just got into the back of the 8 car. And I'm trying to look and see if there's any damage on some of our playoff drivers. Is now Bergeron going to drive it into the inside fence and now back it up into Kyle Martinson. And it looks like Bergeron's going to have some damage now on that 18. Braxton DeWeese a little bit on the left front there. Kind of in the front altogether, and Braxton's got some damage. That's going to be tough here on this high-speed oval. But, man, that was not really sure what was going on there. We watched that live, and it just looked like Jean-Philippe Bergeron in a real hurry early in this race.
Yeah, he was really pushing the pace on Braxton DeWeese. Braxton, unfortunately, he had the 3 car, David Hill, in front of him. He had to slow up for the 3, and JP just kind of got in the back of Braxton, never really let him go. And unfortunately, that ended up collecting Mason Johnson. It looks like James Pileski, Kieran and Church all involved. So a lot of cars collected in that one.
I'm a little baffled on that one. I think it's because we watched JP all season, and JP, while he's an aggressive driver, I've never seen him make what I would consider a mistake. But this is clearly a mistake by the 18 car, as he just goes down into the corner and drives into the back of the 8 car and never lifts enough to let him go. I think if he'd have stabbed the brakes, Jeff, we might have been okay, but he did, but it was just too late, and Mason Johnson caught in that one. You can see Kieran Church caught in that one. That is just bad news for 3 playoff drivers.
Yeah, Bill, and that's the risk versus reward kind of thing that we've been talking about all season long. And it looks like JP Bergeron is going to be done. And Bill, that means he is going to be one of the first drivers eliminated from this championship race. JP Bergeron not going to be a champion this season. He is going to be out in round number 1.
This is not the week JP Bergeron's wanted to have. Obviously, in the Pinty series, did not have a good week this week as he had a driver drive over him. And in this case, it looked like the opposite as JP Bergeron gets in the back of Braxton DeWeese. Now, the good news is I think Braxton DeWeese is okay when it comes to the damage on that race car. We'll see if we can try to take a look at that. We also need to take a look at Kieran Church as he was involved in that one as well. So you can see the front end of that.
On pit road, yeah.
Front end of Braxton DeWeese pretty worked over. A little bit of damage on the left side as well.
Well, and Reagan Parent in the Facebook chat saying he feels a little bit more comfortable now with that start from the rear. Now that he only has to beat one other driver, and that other one driver could be Kieran Church. He's still sitting on pit road. He's going to lose a lap here, trying to repair some damage as we are now doubled up, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. The 22 car might be in a big trouble here and might be going to lose maybe 1-2 laps here as we go back to green flag racing pretty quickly.
Kieran needs to get out on the racetrack and just run the car while it's, even if it's beat up a little bit, he's going to have any chance of transferring into the next round. But there he is sitting on it. We get the green flag. Blake Thronberg going to take it into turn number 1. Kieran Church still sitting on pit road.
Lap 18 restart. Blake Thronberg out front of Ricky Howell. Bladen Edwards runs third. Kevin Ammon in a fourth. Peter Fisher gets collected with David Hill down the back straightaway. We got Brad Carpenter involved. Rick Rube. Oh, they are all piling. It is a big time stack up there. I see Sam Westine, Elliot Carlson, and huge wreck down the back straightaway.
William Griffith is backwards. Brad Carpenter's backwards. Jason Lottridge is involved. Mason Johnson's involved. I see Todd Cousins on the bottom of the racetrack. Just a massive wreck. These guys struggling here tonight at USA Speedway to even get up to speed. This is really not something you want to see from these guys. Not really typical. These guys have been having fantastic races.
Yeah, it's not been a good start here for the Challenger Series guys. It has collected a lot of cars quickly here.
We'll take a look and see what happened. Looks like it started with Peter Fisher. We're going to get a look from the Stinger Motorsports chopper cam on this one. That one's hard to tell. A little bit of both.
Well, Bill, you're going to get a better look at it as I'm still doing some scoring here, trying to get all those cars that were involved in that where they need to be on the racetrack.
And the chopper cam is not giving us the angle we really need for it. It looks like the 3 walks off the wall just a little bit, but it's tough to really tell. If we go to that drone cam that we have, that's not going to give us anything.
Yeah, I'm just getting a look at it now, and man, yeah, the 3 inches down a bit. The 71 starts about halfway down the straightaway, starts to inch up to get set for the next corner. And they just kind of meet in the middle.
I was thinking a little bit of both. I just don't think. See, we got a little blimp cam. We got the Goodyear blimp here today.
And you know what, Bill? What I see here is the 71's down the racetrack coming off the corner because he gave extra room. And the 3 says, oh, there's a little extra room. I can get down the racetrack off the wall a bit. And then all of a sudden, Pete goes to set up for the next corner, kind of comes back up the racetrack, and they get hooked. And I don't think either of them really came off the racing line. It just a bad deal there.
It has been a long time since I've been in a race car, Jeff. In real life and on iRacing. But I remember giving people a lot of room because I was nervous about things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes
especially in this car that's so sideways.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. This car has been really bad about getting hooked in the right rear tire. And unfortunately, right there, you saw it.
So we're going to try to jump through the field. Actually, you know what? We're going to put the car into turn 3 entry. And you guys can take a look and see how many cars have damage on the front end, because it's a lot of them. It's more, we probably want to count the cars that don't have damage right now. Yep, it's probably more that don't, Jeff. This is not good.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Kieran Church is still sitting on pit road. He is now 7 laps down. I don't know if he's out of this one just yet, but it is 2 playoff drivers sitting 29th and 30th right now, and it's going to take some pressure off some of these other guys, but a tough break for Kieran Church and JP Bergeron. These two had a heck of a season so far, and it looks like bad luck going to catch them there early on.
All right, Pileski's got damage. Hill probably has damage. I think Rube's got a little bit left. Reagan Parent looks pretty clean. So does Cody Boehm. I think Boehm's been pretty clean. We saw him have that issue early in the beginning of the race on the initial start, Jeff, and I think that was probably.
Oh, and Bill, we're going back green. So single file restart. We are back to green as Blake Throberg takes us going there, and he got a huge jump on Ricky Howell. I think everybody was about confused except for Blake Throberg there that we were going green. So the 22 is checked out over Ricky Howell. Bladen Edwards runs 3rd. Kevin Ammon runs 4th. James Pileski 5th. And huge run from Pileski already from 13th to 5th. Another driver having a great run. Neil Vinarowski started 18th. He's up to 7th. Dylan Schreiner started 19th. He's trying to take away 7th here as Neil is up the racetrack in the 66. Maybe a little contact, but the 92 will move on into the 7th position.
Unfortunately for Neil, he has a ton of damage on the front of that 66, but it still looks pretty racy right now as he drops back in behind Dylan Schreiner. Dylan Schreiner probably having his best night of the series as he is up to the 7th position in that 92 car. There you can see Reagan Parent making moves in the 17 as he pops out to go around Michael Grooms. He's going to jump up to 9th place.
Yeah, Grooms is your B-main winner, started 23rd. He's running 9th. Now he's going to fall back into 10th, but still a leading candidate for that Adobe Mountain Speedway Hard Charger Award as Reagan Parent will go by. Now it looks like David Hill going to go around Bladen Edwards. It looks like Bladen's lost some positions here. Now he's under fire from Dylan Schreiner. And remember, Bladen was in the race last night, so he did learn a little bit as far as tire wear goes and how hard you drive this thing. It looks like he is choosing to back down the pace just a bit.
That was the smart move. We talked to Peyton Howell on the podium, I guess you would call it, Jeff, because Vinarowski's going to go around him. Vinaradsky, yes. Anyway, we're talking to Peyton Howell. Peyton Howell told us he felt really good about the strategy of dropping back to the back of the pack, or at least the middle of the pack, and trying to save tire, and I think that's what you're seeing Bladen Edwards do.
Ooh, Vinarowski, big time sideways off turn 4, saves it, kept that car off the wall, just about through the right rear quarter panel at the wall, but he did save it. He's sideways again. The 66 is starting to get really loose, and we heard again from Peyton Howell last night. We asked him, what advice would you give these Tuesday night guys going into this race after his 3rd place run? And he said, protect the right rear tire.
And Jeff, Kieran Church still sitting on pit road.
And unfortunately,
that's going to be the end of the playoff run for the 22 car.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is a tough way to go, but it looks like we do have our 6 cars. They've been moving on. Still, anything can happen if Kieran can get it fixed. Somebody else has some issues, but we'll keep an eye on that. But right now, it looks like these guys that are in the playoffs right now, they know 2 cars might be out of it, and they can start to get aggressive. And one of those drivers, Reagan Parent, just went around Bladen Edwards for the 8th position. And again, Bladen looks like he's in save mode. Bill, we know Reagan Parent, he doesn't have a whole lot of save mode built into him, does he? He's pretty much get up and go.
And we talked to Reagan and tried to explain to him that the car needs to be saved. And he said, all right, let's go to the front.
Absolutely, Reagan is on it right now. Another driver moving forward, Jason Warren, trying to go around Michael Grooms. That's a battle for 10th on the racetrack. Behind them, that's Cody Boehm, who got collected early on in that opening start, coming to the green, got turned around. He had to go to the back of this 30-car field, and he has worked his way all the way back up into 14th now. Actually, make that 12th.
I worry about the pace.
Yeah, these guys are moving
pretty hard.
Reagan Parent going around Neil Vinarowski in the 66 machine, so move Reagan up into 7th. Your leader is gone. He is 0.8 of a second out over Ricky Howell. Kevin Ammon is lined up behind Ricky Howell with James Pileski, David Hill, and Dylan Schreiner. That's your top 6 cars.
Oh, we got a car. Vinaradsky almost crashed the car off of turn number 4. Now everybody scrambles to go around him.
Ooh, he's in the wall still.
Trouble might have broken that 66 car as he got completely sideways off of turn 4, bounced the right rear off the wall, and that put the front end in the wall as well.
Yeah, and he lost a ton of spots. He just fallen all the way back behind Jason Lottridge. I think that's about 17th. He's trying to get down to the pits. He just spun that car. I think that 66 has seen the end of its night because it is severely damaged. Now he's turned around the wrong way. Might be pulling back up on the racetrack.
He did. There's
Here
thankfully
comes Blake
a huge
Throneberg.
gap.
Throneberg going to put him a lap down, but the 66 going to limp his way back into pits.
Oh, thank goodness for a massive gap between cars at this moment. If that had been cars around the racetrack, there's no way he would have gotten that car spun around on the apron.
With the lead almost a second now for Blake Throneberg over Ricky Howell. He's got Kevin Hammond right behind him. James Pileski, David Hill, Dylan Schreiner, their top 6. A little bit of a gap back to Reagan Parent, but he is starting to reel this group in. Bladen Edwards has settled into the 8th spot. Cody Boehm is up to 9th. Jason Warren into the 10th spot. Rick Rube runs 11th with Jacob Boehm 12th. Michael Grooms, your B-main winner, runs 13th. Braxton DeWeese up to 14th. Jake Grout runs in the 15th spot. It looks like Vinarowski has called it a night, so he will park that car, and he is out of it. Looks like we've also lost Kyle Martinson and Travis Roma, so just about 25 cars still running in this one. But we just crossed the line for lap 41 here as Blake Throneberg out front, opening that lead up. Again, about 1 second over Ricky Howe, Kevin Ammon, and James Pileski. And now the caution's waving here, lap 41. Looks like Mason Johnson around in turn 2, the 25 machine.
We just had Josh Oswald head to the pits in the number 17 car as well. We're trying to figure out what happened to Mason Johnson. Now he looks like he made contact with Peter Fisher as well. Peter was involved in the last incident. There's a lot of beating and banging between these two as they went through 3 and 4.
And the 71 was really tight on the 25. And I think that was just too low on the racetrack with the car on the inside of him.
Holy cow.
And they just hooks the right rear, sends the 25 up to the wall. Huge hit for Mason Johnson.
Peter had a pretty clean race car. He was caught in that previous incident, but no longer. Big hit from the 25 as he gets spun up into the wall. Like you said, Jeff, it just hooks that right rear, and that yaw that this car runs at, if you get to that right rear through the corner and you're turning down at all, it just spins that bottom car up into the wall. You see that between these two guys as they went down in a turn. Let's see what we can see here. Bam. Wow, what a hit from the 25.
Well, big break for Elliot Carlson. Going to get back on the lead lap here. He was the lucky dog. So we will have 22 cars still running on the lead lap.
We'll show that one more time. That one is crazy. Let's look at it. Bam. Wow.
So, Bill, 25 laps down, Kieran Church back on the racetrack. It took him that long just to get the car drivable, but he is back out there. So if something happens to any of the other playoff drivers, there is a chance for Kieran, but he has got a long way to go here.
Yeah, they really fixed up the 22. He went all out on his repairs. I think he got it all fixed, Jeff. You can see that car almost looks brand spanking new. So it took them 25 laps, but they got it completely fixed. And that's what it'll do here on iRacing. They'll fix the cars now if you're willing to sit there. And Kieran Church obviously wanting to be in this race and hope for some sort of miracle.
We can confirm Mason Johnson is done for the night. He has called it a night and left the server. So Mason currently scored 23rd. Looks like he's going to lose a few spots here. His car is still working around the racetrack, but Field is getting small. A lot of attrition early on in this one. I believe pace car lights are out, so we are going to go back to green flag racing here. Blake Thronberg, Ricky Howe will be a double file restart with Kevin Ammon and the 93, James Pileski in that second row. David Hill, Dylan Schreiner in the third row. Reagan Parent and Bladen Edwards in that fourth row. Pace car going to head off the racetrack. We are heading back to that Brett Suggs Racing and Marketing restart zone for Blake Thronberg over Ricky Howe. He is off and away. Howe going to try to get down in line in front of Kevin Ammon, but I don't think he was able to get there just in time. The 93 does move down, so he'll slot in the fourth spot. Now David Hill and Dylan Schreiner are battling side by side. Here comes Reagan Parent up the inside. Can Schreiner fight back down the back straightaway? He does pull ahead of the three.
Ooh, David Hill just shut the door on Reagan Parent down the back straightaway. Reagan started to move forward, and David said, no, no, no. Chopped off the 17 car. Now here comes Reagan Parent. He's going to look to the outside and try to do what Schreiner did on the previous lap.
Yeah, Reagan going to try to go to the outside and then maybe going to try the over-under. Couldn't quite get there. Now he's got to protect from Cody Boehm as well in the 78 machine. But Dylan Schreiner did clear for the fifth spot over David Hill. As Blake Thronberg continues to lead, he's got about 2 car lengths over Ricky Howe, Kevin Ammon. Still, Kevin Ammon just seems content to ride in third right now, not putting a lot of pressure on Ricky for that second spot. Reagan Parent trying to get around David Hill. Hill sent it off into turn 3 to keep that 17 behind him. He does not want to let Reagan Parent get around him at this point in this race.
This looks very similar to last night, Jeff, the way that these leaders are running each other. Kevin Ammon playing the part of Caleb Hall. The 20 car would be Trevor Edwards, and the 22, obviously, that's Josh Cottle. That's what we saw last night from these drivers. And Ammon, let's see if he has any issues with his car as he's trying to make the move on Howell, but can't do it. That's what Hall did last night, trying to make the move on Trevor Edwards, ended up burning up the right rear on his car.
Well, Blake Thronberg still setting a torrid pace right now. He's opened up about half a second lead over Ricky Howell. Kevin Ammon runs third. James Pileski, Dylan Schreiner, David Hill still 6th. But Reagan Parent has been putting a ton of pressure to David Hill in the 3 machine. David being very, very defensive of the inside line. And Cody Boehm just sitting behind this group right now, watching this battle go on in front of him, along with Bladen Edwards. Bladen started up near the front, started 5th, has kind of fallen back to ninth here. He's got Jason Warren behind him in the top 10.
All these cars pretty tight nose to tail. The playoff cars kind of mixed in here, but we've got a group of Reagan Parent, Cody Boehm, Bladen Edwards. They are nose to tail. Those are playoff cars. And just a few cars back, you got Braxton DeWee still around there, and he's running 12th.
CJ Grooms in the chat cheering for his brother Michael Grooms, runs 14th right now, your B-main winner. Up from the 23rd spot. Jacob Boehm is up from the 30th spot to 11th, so huge move for Jacob Boehm, as he is looking pretty strong right now behind Jason Warren, a candidate for sure for the Adobe Mountain Speedway Hard Charger Award. $5 to the driver who gains the most spots during tonight's feature event.
I talked about how he looked like he had speed in that B-main. Jeff just was looking for consistency in that 30 car. Now he's showing that consistency as he's moved through the field. And the good news is that car is relatively clean. So Jacob Boehm having a very good night in that 30 machine.
Yeah, given where he started, he had the ability to get caught up in a lot of stuff because there was a lot of wrecks that happened early on right in the middle of the field, and Jacob did a good job of navigating through that without getting involved and collected in anything. Now the caution's going to wave here, lap 56.
Jason Lottridge around on the backstretch. He had just made a move on Michael Grooms. Todd Cousins was involved in that one as well. He was on the bottom of the racetrack trying to make the move around Grooms, Jeff, and just spun out on his own. We were actually watching that live. That was the best battle on the racetrack because we had some cars running side by side, and Lottridge just looks like he just gets on the throttle a little hard coming off turn 2.
Yeah, and Jason immediately called it out, just said, oh, that was me. Just got on it too early, trying to keep that car pinned to the bottom because there was a car on the outside still, and just got on the throttle a little too quickly there in the 03. And Bill, that's going to set us up for a quickie yellow because he just had one single car spin. So it looks like Josh Oswald going to pick up a lucky dog. He'll be 5 laps down once he gets around the field here.
I worry for some of these drivers, Jeff. So 111 laps at a racetrack does not seem like a lot, but it is a tremendous amount here at USA International Speedway. As fast as these cars get around here and what they weigh, we've been really putting them up and laying them down when they are green flag racing.
Yeah, and we went quickie yellow there, so not a lot of time to save the tires and try to cool them down either. We're going to get right back at it, go back to green flag racing here. Lap 59 restart coming at you with Blake Throneberg and Ricky Howell on that front row, Kevin Ammon, James Pileski in the second row. Neil Vinorowski in the chat still cheering for Michael Grooms and Blake Throneberg. Is Throneberg back on the loud pedal? Howell trying to get down to the bottom again, but Kevin Ammon is there. He's going to keep that 20 car on the outside here. Can Kevin Ammon take advantage now? He's going to get around Ricky Howell. Can Howell get down? He does, down in front of Dylan Schreiner, who just hasn't been able to clear James Pileski down the back straightaway. Here comes Reagan Parent back up into the mix, and Reagan's back up into the 6th position now.
Schreiner and Pileski continue to battle side by side onto the front straightaway. Reagan Parent looks like he's going to try to follow Schreiner. I think he's thinking that Schreiner's going to win this battle between the 92 and 93.
Negus crashing into turn 1 with Brad Carpenter. They have hit the turn 1 wall.
Oh, Negus' car looks like it is probably done, Jeff. We've got smoke out of the 39.
They were battling for 19th back there. Ooh, and just quick glance at the replay there. It looks like Negus had to check up for Sam Weststein, who was trying to get down in line. The 39 checks up, but the 31 doesn't. And Negus just got sent.
So odd. It's like Brad Carpenter dove to the bottom and just nailed him. That's so odd. Oh, I see. He was thinking of Elliott. He was looking at Elliott Carlson. He saw Elliott coming on the bottom. Elliott come off the corner side by side with Carpenter, and Carpenter was just looking to clear. Never really saw the 39. Probably just drove to the bottom and just drove into the 39.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we talk about, Bill, with this car. Sometimes everybody fighting for the bottom.
Yep.
And that's the situation there where the bottom was stacking up. I think there was an opportunity for somebody to gain a spot if they would have wrapped the top side around 1 and 2. But everybody wanted the bottom, and just they all stacked up trying to get there.
Well, we just rode with Brad Carpenter on that one. Now we're going to give you the one that you don't want to see. Here's Scott Negus as he's just kind of minding his own business going down into the corner. Wetstein jumps in front of him, and now you're going to see the ground.
Yeah, Negus probably doesn't even know what happens here. He lifts for the 98, and bam, right head on into the fence.
Just unfortunate for these guys. I mean, it's just stacked up race cars, right? I mean, this is what happens.
Well, Scott Negus is called it a night. That is the end of the 39 car. So that's going to leave us 21 on the lead lap with Elliott Carlson and Brad Carpenter coming down pit road to do some repairs there. Josh Oswald did get a lucky dog. He'll be 4 laps down, still out on the racetrack. Kieran Church still racing on the racetrack. He's 25 laps down, but looks like he will get around Peter Fisher and Mason Johnson.
So I'm here hanging out with the Braxton DeWeese fan club, Jeff, on YouTube.
Yeah, they're going nuts right now. Braxton's just outside the top 10. He's doing 11th right now.
Doing well. Their advice was to save. Chris DeWeese said, "Okay, save that right rear, buddy, nice and smooth." As if Braxton can read. Maybe he can. I don't know. Maybe he can read the YouTube chat. But I think that's sound advice, to be honest, after what we saw last night. And then we get Kelly Allen saying, let's go number 8. And of course, as I'm reading it, it goes away on my phone. That's right, bring it number 8, says Doug Mindorf. And then Chris DeWeese says, woohoo, let's go. I think they're pretty excited that so far, after that one incident that he was caught in earlier, that he's been able to miss some of the other wrecks, which have kind of benefited the 8 cars. He's moved up to position 11 now.
Yeah, and he's in a good spot to make it into the next round, sitting 11th. One driver, playoff driver, out 125 laps down. So Braxton just got to bring the car home. He'll be racing, continue racing for a championship next week as we head to Richmond for the Daniel Williamson Memorial 126. Bladen Edwards was asking Bill on the driver chat, and he was saying, how many cautions we have last night? And I informed him we had 5 total cautions last night. You guys are at 6. And he said, come on, guys. The shootout guys aren't that good. He used another term, but I'm going to say not that good.
Well, the shootout guys went for a long time without having many at all, and it got a little bit messier towards the end.
Yeah, that tends to happen once the gloves come off late in these runs. Is we are going to go back to a single file restart because they did not complete a lap, or they did not complete 5 total laps there. And so that'll be Blake Throneberg bringing him to the green of the BSRM restart zone with Kevin Ammon now in second, Ricky Howell third, Dylan Schreiner fourth. Nice clean restart, and that's what the single file will do, Bill. It spreads them out a little bit. Reagan Parent took a look underneath James Pileski, couldn't get there. Cody Bohm getting the pressure to David Hill, gets in the back of him. Bohm and Hill gonna hit the inside wall. Michael Grooms gets involved, and luckily just gonna end at 3 cars, but huge hit for the 3. Was having a heck of a run tonight.
That'd be caution number 7. David Hill trying to find his way to spin the number 3 car around. Well, we've seen some interesting stuff happening tonight as we see the 78 car not normally involved in anything. Boy, David Hill shut the door. Take a look at this one down the back straightaway. I'm wondering if Cody Bohm just was frustrated with the 3 car. We're going to watch it for just a little bit longer just to see what we got going on here, because Cody Bohm, usually an ultra clean driver in that 78 car. It looks like he just jacked up the 3 going through 3 and 4. So here we go. Cody Bohm gets a run off of turn number 2. Not ever really there. And just turns him around.
Yeah, just got a little contact, but at these high speeds, that's all it takes sometimes. As Michael Grooms got involved there, Sam Westine able to avoid that one, but just a tough break. Cody Bohm just got in the back of David Hill, and David was having one of his best runs ever since he's got that race EPI on the side of the car, and he's joined that group. He has been improving pretty quickly, and he was having the best run I've seen out of him so far, and hopefully David will continue on in the series and be able to continue to have runs like that, because that was pretty cool to see him come from basically brand new. He was like Blake Throneberg, brand new to iRacing just a few seasons ago, and he is starting to turn the corner and be pretty darn competitive here. Blake Throneberg out front. This will set us back up for a single file restart because they did not complete 5 laps. As Elliot Carlson trying to get out of the pits. Looked like Josh Oswald did pick up another lucky dog, so he's 3 laps down, running in the 22nd position. Kieran Church, who is 25 laps down, is up into the 24th spot. He will pass Scott Negus, I believe, before this one is over. So Bill pace car lights are out, going back to single file restart here. Blake Throneberg out front of Kevin Ammon, Ricky Howell, Dylan Schreiner, James Pileski, the top 5. Reagan Parent runs 6th with Bladen Edwards. Jacob Bone, Braxton DeWeese now into 9th. Jason Warren up into the top 10. Rick Rude runs 11th with Michael Grooms, Todd Cousins, William Griffith. Jake Grout runs in your top 15. And we are heading to that Brett Suggs Racing and Marketing restart zone once again for Blake Throneberg, lap 72 restart here. Throneberg back on the loud pedal, and man, he had pulled 3 car lengths on Kevin Ammon right away, so that 22 getting through the gears really well as they were already battling further back. Trouble for Pileski, lost a spot there, and now he's under fire from the 17 of Reagan Parent.
Reagan Parent to the inside, going to look for that position. That's a battle for 5th. Here comes Bladen Edwards in the 72. And now we go yellow
already
once again.
Caution. Looking to see maybe
back straightaway.
David Hill. David Hill got together with an 09 of Elliott Carlson.
And Carlson's car is blown up. Smoke trailing from the 09. His night will be over.
Looked like the 3 was just having issues getting going.
Yeah, I saw him
like looking at the replay, he's way behind the rest of the field.
And then just completely chops. I'm not sure what David's doing right there. I don't know if he missed a shift. What we're going to do is ride with him for a moment to see why that car didn't go. I think he's just down on power, Jeff. And then just try. And I think Elliott Carlson knew that. We'll have to ride with Elliott here. I think he gets to the inside here of David and just barely. Stinger Motorsports Chopper Cam. Let's take a look and see what
That's gonna be the best look at it.
Yeah, I think David he goes all the way to the bottom pretty early here. I think I don't know if he's defending positions. Clearly he's down on power, as you can see all the other cars kind of just avoiding him. I mean, fell so far back behind the field. Here comes Kieran Church in the 22 who had just fixed his car. He lifts, but you can see Cody Bowman, Elliott Carlson is coming up so hard.
Yeah, I think that's the issue there is when you're that far off the pace, you can't be defending like that when you got cars that are trying to get back in the race here. And unfortunately, Elliott Carlson just nowhere to go when he got down to turn 1 with a full head of steam.
Got to kind of run your line when the car's broken. I mean, he would have known coming off of turn 4. If the car's not going, it's not going, and the cars around you, who had nothing to do with any of the issues you've had before, yeah, don't ruin their night. That's kind of what happened to the 09 there. And Cody Bohm was there as well. Obviously, David probably fairly frustrated with the 78 car because that is the car that got into him through turns 3 and 4 to cause their issue. But unfortunately for Elliott Carlson, he's the one that gets collected, and his night's over.
Well, Elliott Carlson sitting on pit road. Brad Carpenter to come down, try to do some repairs of the 31 machine. He's still on the lead lap. We're going to be running in the 20th spot. Josh Oswald, I believe, did pick up a lucky dog or will pick up a lucky dog here. All these cautions helping Oswald get back on the lead lap.
Kieran Church looking at the lap ticker, Jeff, and he's hoping that in the next 10 laps or so, a lead lap playoff car has a problem. That's kind of what he's looking at.
That's about what it's going to take. He's going to need it to happen soon to even have a chance here. But Kieran Church still out on the racetrack trying. You're just hoping that somebody else has some kind of issue. Blake Throneberg leads the way. Going to be, looks like we should get one to go this next time by. Will be a single file restart because they did not complete 5 laps.
Pink lights are already out on the pace car, Jeff, so I think we'll go green flag racing this time.
Okay, cool. Well, Blake Throneberg going to take us back to the Brett Suggs Racing and Marketing restart zone with Kevin Ammon, Ricky Howell, Dylan Schreiner, and Reagan Parent in the top 5. We are off and away racing once again. Single file restart. Kevin Ammon. Ammon had saved a lot of tire behind Ricky Howe early on in this race. And about the first half of the race, he just rode in the 3rd spot. And with Blake Throneberg kept opening up those big leads, I was wondering whether the 20 and the 7 would have a little bit better tire. Now, Ricky Howe looks like he struggled a little bit through 1 and 2 that time in the 20 machine. So maybe not coming to life just yet.
Good battle back in the pack here, Jeff. Todd Cousins making a move on Michael Grooms in the 81. Jake Grout, first night with the series in the 49. He's there as well. This is a battle for 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th as we see William Griffith in the 12. He's involved in this battle as well.
And Grout goes around Grooms. Here comes William Griffith. Griffith having a good run here in the 15th position. Going to take over 14th, it looks like, as Grooms got stuck up on the outside. Well, Throneberg out front again opens up the lead. It's about 0.3 of a second. Kevin Ammon not able to keep touch with the 22. Could still be in conserve mode. He might still be saving tire, but he's going to start to have a mirror full of Ricky Howell in the 20 machine behind them. Here comes Dylan Schreiner as well in the group, the 4th place runner who started deep in the field tonight, started 19th. He's starting to put some pressure to Ricky Howell.
Well, you know the price of poker's certainly gone up, Jeff, with just, what is it, about 30, about 25, well, I'll say about 25 laps. It's about 27, but we'll say 25, right? For fun, even though we keep exact tabs on the laps, but that's not the point. But the price of poker has gone up, and you can see right behind this group is there's a group of 3. Blaine Edwards is the trailer on that group, and these guys are really tight nose to tail, and there are 2 playoff cars sandwiching James Pileski in the middle.
Well, Bill, we know Blaine Edwards chose to save tire. He dropped to the back from the 6th, or was it the 7th starting position, 5th starting position. Bill, just outside the top 10. And now he's starting to make the move towards the front. So we know that Bladen's got a little bit more tire saved up, but can he get around these drivers in front of him? Even if they've used more tire, you still got to pass them.
And you just saw the 72 slide the car off at turn number 2. He's got to be careful. You don't want to start using tire now because it will go away quickly. This is tight racing throughout the top 10. A lot of cars have had issues tonight. You see some of these cars really getting spread out. A lot of cars with damage.
Jerry Hill in the chat, and he said that 22 of Blake Throneberg looks very strong, and he has been dominant all night long since he got to the lead. Can he make it to the end on the tires? That is the question right now. We saw it last night. A lot of drivers pushed their way to the front, then they ran out of tire at the end, but Blake Throneberg still going strong here on lap 87.
Now Throneberg up the racetrack a little bit. That was an interesting line through 3 and 4. Definitely not the fast way around the USA International Speedway, so I don't know what Throneberg did going into turn 3, but didn't like something as he went into the corner.
Looking at his lap times, he slowed down a little bit. He was running in the 7s, and that initial restart, he slowed down into the 8s just a bit. And now Kevin Ammon starting to gain on the 22 machine. He's cut it down about 1/10 of a second last time by. And across the line to start lap 90, and Kevin Ammon is now there. Cut another about 1/10 of a second off of the lead for Blake Throneberg as Kevin Ammon's car, the number 7, starting to come to life. It looks like Throneberg, that car might be starting to fall off just a bit.
Looks like he's not able to keep it down on the bottom coming off the corners, Jeff. You can see the 7 car of Kevin Ammon able to wrap the bottom going through the corners, and especially off of turn 2, that 22 car starts to walk up the racetrack just a little bit. Could that be an indication that right rear is starting to go away?
Well, it's interesting, Bill, we talked to Cottle last night, and he said he was out front, and he thought the setup was a little tight when everybody else was talking about loose. And you talked about Throneberg not being able to keep that car to the bottom. I wonder if it's starting to get a little tight for him. And then it's getting kind of pushy loose where you got so much wheel into it, the thing kind of starts to slide around a little bit.
Also possible. I think that's driving style as well. It just depends on what kind of driver Throneberg is. Cottle likes to drive hard into the corners. A lot of drivers were not doing that last night, and they felt the car was getting loose over the course of the run. Cottle was wearing out that right front, keeping the balance in the car, and he had it all night long.
Well, the lap times have kind of plateaued out for both drivers now, both in the 22 zeros. So they have equaled out here as we work lap 93. Blake Throneberg still holding Kevin Ammon at bay with Ricky Howell in the third spot. Dylan Schreiner, Reagan Parent. Reagan was actually the fastest car on the racetrack last time by. So the 17 who runs fifth all of a sudden starting to look like a little bit of a challenger here.
Jake Grout just went around Rick Rube. That was a pass for the 11th spot. So move Grout up. Here comes Todd Cousins in the 2. He's going to move up to 12th.
Todd Cousins having a great run tonight. As the top 5 have just kind of single-filed themselves out. Bladen Edwards did get around James Pileski, so move Bladen Edwards up into the 6th position. Bladen running pretty fast laps as well, low 22 zeros. But that's the tough thing right now. I'm going all the way back to Jason Warren, who runs 10th. They're all running about 22-0. Even Jake Grout runs 22-0. I mean, this field is just, they're all on top of each other, all running about identical laps.
Laps are ticking away as we're working lap 96 and 111.
It looked like Throneberg might have had an issue through turn 2 that time, and he lost some ground as Kevin Ammon has started to gain. This is the closest Kevin Ammon has been in quite a while now. The 7 is starting to inch forward, closing in on the leader, Blake Throneberg.
Finally, Jeff, and I don't want to jinx it, but we're finally getting some green flag racing. This is where we'll see the tire saving start to come into play as these guys really heat these tires up and really put pressure on them for multiple laps moving around here this quickly.
When I talked about Reagan Parent being one of the fastest cars on the racetrack the last few laps, he has caught Dylan Schreiner. Now he's trying to find a way around the 92, but time is ticking away if Reagan wants to have any shot at winning this thing.
Jason Warren underneath Braxton DeWeese for the 9th spot. DeWeese sideways off of turn number 2.
Reagan is underneath the 92. He's going to spin it, trying to keep it off of him. Caution is going to wave. Trouble for Reagan Parent, who tried to get to the inside of the 92 machine. Had to check up to avoid contact there.
We'll take a look at that on replay. We didn't see it live. Ooh, and I think they made contact. I don't think Schreiner knew he was there. We're going to take a look and see if we can see this on. Reagan got a great run off of turn number 2.
Oof, that is as close as it gets to, if they didn't actually touch, that might be as close as you can possibly get. But you can tell Reagan just absolutely locked up the brakes because he realized, hey, the 92 is coming down the racetrack, and we are going to hit.
I'm not sure if Schreiner didn't get the call or if his spotters had taken a nap on the spotter stand, but it looked like Reagan was there for some time. We've watched it from the Stinger Motorsports chopper cam, again from the TV3 camera from atop the scorer's stand where the spotter should be. And I mean, it's a late move, but it's a good second or two that the 92 has an opportunity to walk up the racetrack. Still keeps coming down.
Yeah, that is. I have a hard time even really putting that on anybody because, I mean, as far as I can tell, they never really made contact. It was the 17 trying to keep it off the 92 that he spun. But I don't think Reagan Parent did anything wrong. He was trying to attempt to pass. He was there.
And I'm pretty sure this is what Throneberg wants to see as well. I think a yellow probably helps the 22 car. I think the more we ran green flag racing, the more he was going to start struggling as he's been leading this and setting the pace the entire race.
Yeah, and he's been good on restarts, so he opens up a bit of a gap, even if the 7's a little bit quicker. If he can get away, get a good restart, that's just time that Kevin Ammon has to make up, and they're still running very equal lap times, so Kevin Ammon here is going to need a good restart to be able to challenge the 22 of Blake Throneberg. And we will go back to double file restart because they completed more than 5 laps on that last run. Looks like Michael Groom's coming down pit road to do some damage repair. Well, Bill, we are going to double them up and get ready to go back to racing on lap 103 for Blake Thronberg with Kevin Ammon on the outside, Ricky Howell, Dylan Schreiner in that second row, Bladen Edwards, James Pileski in the third row. And it's go time now. There is no tire saving at this point in the race. You got to use everything you got left.
Yeah, well under 10 laps remaining. Blake Thronberg going to watch the pace truck leave the racetrack. He's going to control the restart through the Brett Suggs Racing and Marketing restart zone. A lot of beating and banging on the bottom there, and now we've got issues. Bladen Edwards is jacked up and turned around.
Caution going to wave right off the bat as Bladen Edwards was running in the 5th spot, gets turned around. Looks like Braxton DeWeese was involved along with Jason Lottridge in the 03. We'll have to get a look at this one, but just looked like some cars just going too quickly on the bottom.
Yeah, I think, well, it's going to be tough to, let's not make a call until we see it again, but, I mean, honestly, I think that starts with Bladen. Bladen gasses it up, gets into the back of Ricky Howell, and has to check up. The 30 car is gapping. And just, I mean, there's just, everybody's trying to jump it. Why? Why? What, you're not going to make a move in the late model stock going into 1.
Yeah, it looked like Bladen was kind of on the 20, but the 30 definitely, he went, and it just, nobody in front of him had gone yet. Jacob Boehm got right into the back of Bladen Edwards, just turns him around there.
See if we have any other views of this. It's just everybody. I mean, you can watch these cars bobbing forward. Nobody's holding the gas pedal. They're all jumping on the gas pedal to see if they can time this out. You can see Ricky's doing it. Bladen's doing it. Let's try to figure out what Jacob Boehm saw. Just because he gaps. Oh, he heard somebody go.
And it's tough, but you can't react to the noise. You got to react to what's happening.
You can't hit the car in front of you. Yeah, he heard. You can hear it on the. You'll have to listen to this. It almost sounds like somebody downshifts. Now, Jeff, we know somebody that used to use that.
Yes, yeah, we've had it back in the day. There was a couple guys they'd reach over, grab the clutch, and rev the motor, and it would get people to jump. It would get people to go over there and just slam the throttle, and they take off and be like, "I thought he went."
Just slip it a little bit. Just slip it a little bit. Let the song of the motor go up just a little bit, and the guys would just jump out of their skin. Until we told them to stop doing that because it was causing accidents.
Yeah.
So Bladen Edwards going to drop back to the 18th spot. Braxton DeWeese was caught in that as well, another playoff driver. He's back to 17th. They are safe as far as it stands now because Kieran Church not able to make up the 24 laps and he is down. So Kieran Church and Jean-Philippe Bergeron will be eliminated from playoff contention after tonight. So your 6 cars are locked in. Now, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. They get their points reset except for playoff points going into the next round, correct?
Yes, correct. So they will have the wins will carry over. Their season wins will carry over into the playoffs. And that includes if they win tonight. If Blake Thronberg wins tonight, that's a bonus point in his pocket going to the next round. And this will be a single file restart because they did not complete a lap as they crashed coming to the green there. So lap 108 for Blake Thronberg. I don't know if this is an advantage for Kevin Ammon or not. He's not going to have to fight anybody to get to the bottom, but he also doesn't get to start right alongside the 22 with Thronberg here.
Usually the second place car is able to clear the third place car. Usually. It depends on the start that the third place car gets. But yeah, I think you're right. I think this is probably an advantage for Kevin Ammon because he doesn't have to fight anybody, but it's going to be difficult to get to that 22 car.
Well, here we come to the green flag. Blake Thronberg got another fantastic restart, and he pulled about 2-3 car lengths on Kevin Ammon, so Ammon's going to need to really push the pace here if he wants to get anywhere near the 22 and challenge for the win.
Dylan Schreiner up to third in that 92 car. He's going to try to fend off Ricky Howell, and Ricky Howell got the wall hard, and he's crashing down the back straightaway. Yellow is out. I have no idea what happened to the 20 car, but he hammered the wall coming off of turn 2.
But how about that save to hold on to it? I mean, Ricky plowed the wall, got turned head on into the wall, still drove that thing the entire way down the back straightaway.
Does he possibly get into the back of the 92, and that's what ships this car?
I think he got loose on corner exit, and he saved it and chased it to the wall, absolutely plowed the wall.
And then Pileski gets into the back of him, and Ricky drive, like you said, does a fantastic job driving through this. But I think you're right, Jeff. I think that car wiggles on him. Yep, and it just suddenly jumps to the outside. Or is it possible that the car blew a tire?
I mean, it could. If it blew the right front, the way that thing jumped,
that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. It's a very strange. He doesn't seem to really yaw too much.
I mean, he absolutely clobbered the wall. Nowhere for James Pileski to go. I mean, he's full throttle down the back straightaway at that point, and just all of a sudden the 20 it lost about 20 mile an hour when he hit the wall.
Yeah, I think he thought he was getting looser than he was, Jeff.
Yeah, I think he got a little loose, put some wheel into it to save it, and just drove that thing all the way to the wall there.
I think Ricky just made a mistake there. Uncharacteristic things from drivers tonight.
Well, that's just them pushing. I mean, they realize this is late in this race. Bonus point would be helpful into the next round. You don't really have much to lose. You know which two are not moving on at this point.
Right.
And Ricky went for it, and unfortunately kind of bit the wall there, but still going to come home in the top 20. But Blake Thronberg definitely didn't want to see that, because, Bill, now we're going to overtime racing here. And if there was any questions about whether these guys had enough tire to get to the end, adding additional laps not going to help their case right here.
But on the same token, the flip side of that is that the yellows have been out for long enough tonight, probably, as we were working lap yellow number 10. Is that
I believe that's 11 right there.
11. So I think there's been enough yellow flags tonight that these guys have saved a lot of tire on these race cars. Will be interesting though, Jeff. I did get some pictures from some drivers last night on the setup that sent me their percentages, and I will give you one of them. Caden Fisher, I got a picture of his right rear last night. The outside was 3%, the inside was 0, and I'm sorry, the outside was 3, the middle was 0, and the inside was 3. And he did finish in the top 10.
That's unbelievable. So basically, you were running that thing on a flat tire all the way to the
right
end.
At the end. Yep.
Well, we're going to go back to Green Flag Racing. Pace car lights are out for Blake Thronberg now. Kevin Ammon, Dylan Schreiner, James Pileski, Jason Warren into the top 5. Reagan Parent runs 6th with Jake Grout running 7th. Todd Cousins 8th. William Griffith up to 9th. Cody Bohm, after all his troubles tonight, up into the top 10. Sam Weststein runs 11th. Here we go. Green-white checkered 1 of 3 if needed. Single file restart because they did not complete a lap here on that last restart. Blake Thronberg just needs to bring it home here.
Thronberg with a nice jump over Ammon once again. Going to go down the front straightaway, and he's going to have about a 2-car length lead as they enter turn 1, single file through 1 and 2. First battle's going to be a little bit farther back as Todd Cousins getting a challenge. He went up the racetrack. Single file down the back straightaway. Thronberg going to lead him into 3.
Yeah, another fantastic restart for Thronberg. Ammon showing he's got a little bit more pace, but he lost so much ground coming to the green flag. White flag will be out for the 22 of Blake Thronberg. Here comes Kevin Ammon. He is gaining. He will get there through 1 and 2. Does he have enough to get alongside Blake Thronberg going down the back straightaway?
Tries to make the run down the back straightaway. Still has about a half a car length to a car length advantage. Thronberg down into 3 and 4. He'll lead the field. Ammon trying to take a shot through the last corner.
Off turn 4, Blake Thronberg's going to see the checker flag. He's going to win the LFOD Motorsports 111. Kevin Ammon comes home 2nd. Dylan Schreiner 19th to 3rd. James Pileski finishes 4th. Jason Warren with a top 5. Reagan Parent 6th. Jake Grout going to finish 7th. Todd Cousins 8th. William Griffith 9th. Cody Bohm going to come home with a top 10.
Brad Carpenter finishes 11th. Sam Wetstein 12th. That was his second and best finish in the Late Model Challenger Series. Jason Lotridge 13th, Braxton DeWeese 14th, Rick Rube 15th, Bladen Edwards 16th, Jacob Boehm 17th, David Hill 18th, Ricky Howell 19th, Michael Grooms finishes 20th.
Well, we do know the two drivers not going to make the playoffs tonight. The driver finishes 21st, Kieran Church. Josh Oswald, Elliott Carlson, Scott Negus, Mason Johnson, your top 25. Peter Fisher going to finish 26 with Neil Vinarowski, Kyle Martinson, Travis Roma, and another driver eliminated from the playoff contention, JP Bergeron, winner of this season, not going to move on to the next round. I got to tell you, Bill, I really didn't think it would be JP Bergeron and Kieran Church not making it out of that round. I mean, that bad luck for Kieran Church. He just got collected in somebody else's mess, but really didn't expect it to be those two guys.
Honestly, I didn't have a wager or a thought of who it might be between the group of 8. This was a really stellar group that any of the 8 could make it through. And I think it's just unfortunate how it ended for those two drivers. Like I said, JP Bergeron, uncharacteristic mistake early in the race, ends up taking himself out, and unfortunately, Kieran Church gets caught in it as well, and Kieran out for the playoffs. Good news is there's still money in the top 10, and you're already locked in there when you make the playoffs. So now they race for 7th and 8th for the remainder of the season, and I think those positions still pay pretty well here in the Late Model Challenger Series.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, joining us now, our race winner, Blake Thromer, comes home with your second win of the season. And now you're going to go into the next round of the playoffs. You'll have 2 bonus points. You're going to be tied with Bladen Edwards going to that next round. That is a big win there for you because that's going to give you a huge advantage to try to get in this top 4 at the end of the season.
Yes, sir. That was big right there. That was big. I was stoked about that one. It's probably the happiest I've been over a race win in a long time, or at least since I've been on here, besides the other Monday night. But yeah, that was a big win.
Blake, talk about the strategy tonight. You obviously got help. You ran out front right away, and you got help from some of these yellows with the possibility of tires being an issue later in the race. Was the strategy to just control the pace all night long, or did anybody give you any tips after some of the other EPI guys ran last night?
Yeah, no, them guys helped me out a lot. I kind of knew what lap times to run. Like I say, that sound probably like a broken record, but I know what Josh ran last night. I just tried to match it because I know what his tires were, and my tires ended up the same as his last night. And like I said, I know Kevin probably had a little bit more for me because they were kind of saving a little bit more than I was. But yeah, the cautions really played a factor. And like you said, for the first 5 to 10 laps out of the caution, you can run it, all out, and the tires really don't matter right then. But no, it was definitely a big help running on Monday nights. You kind of get an idea, I would say, of how hard you can push it and what you need to do. So yeah, it was a big help just get out there and lead the race and kind of set my own pace.
Well, Blake, I got to wonder throughout that race, did you have anybody telling you what was going on with the other playoff drivers? Did you know that 2 of them were basically out of the race? And does that kind of just give you a sigh of relief? And now you can just focus on trying to win the race when that happens?
No, nobody gave me any pointers at all. Kind of just the idea of just go in there and worry about yourself. And if I race good, then I should go to the next round. Kevin just kind of let me know what was going on. Not about who wrecked or what, but I just want to know his lap times. And like I said, we were kind of running the same lap times because we kind of had the same idea. And that's about all the help I got. But I appreciate Kevin racing me clean.
So Blake, next week we head to Richmond. How do you feel about another large racetrack? Short track series, but unfortunately in the playoffs we picked a lot of long ones. But how do you feel about Richmond going into the next round of the playoffs?
Be like a mini Daytona or Talladega. Yeah, just basically saving the right rear and hopefully the same right here. Qualify good, qualify up front, and just kind of control the race from there on out.
Well, Blake, I think we've already kind of heard you think a few people already, but is there anybody else you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank that's helped you out this season and getting up to speed in this new car?
Yeah, just same as normal. EPI, Tyler Payne, and all those guys over there. The shop, Trevor, Jinx, Barbecue, Aaron, Alex, all those guys. The man upstairs, especially the wife, like I said, always playing this game. letting me come down here and play the game. And other than that, man, just thank y'all for putting on the league. I know it wasn't as clean as you probably guys wanted it to be, but y'all do a good job controlling everything, and I really appreciate y'all putting on this league.
Well, Blake, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Congratulations, your second win of the season. They're starting to add up for you, man. It seemed like you came in here, you were brand new to this, and all of a sudden you got 2 ITZR wins. That is pretty darn cool.
Yes, sir. I'm very excited, very happy with the season I had so far. Just gotta keep going and, like I said, make it through next week, and then just be the highest finisher of the last four. But like I said, thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
You too, Blake. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Our second place finisher joining us, Kevin Hammond. And it's been a bit since we've seen Kevin. He came in here, he won a race in Nashville in his first start, and then he kind of disappeared on us. But you are back, and you're showing you're just as fast as you ever were. At the end there, we were kind of talking about it. Did you want a double file restart? Did you want a single file restart? What was your best chance to be able to have a shot at Blake there at the end?
I feel like the single file restart definitely was a benefit to me. I just no outside here, and it's going to be tough to get down. Them guys behind us were good too, and I felt like that was my best shot. I just needed probably a 5-10 lap run to get Blake. I wasn't going to do anything crazy, but I was hoping to race it out a little bit more, but all good. EPI 1-2.
That EPI connection. I mean, I keep seeing that everywhere, Jeff. I wonder what that is. I mean, it's on our logos. It seems like it's everywhere. But Kevin, what was this? My favorite thing about late model stock that we didn't have for multiple seasons with the Super was strategy. Everybody just went all out in the Super. That's the way that car ran. This car, obviously, not that type of car, as you do have to be a little bit concerned with the tires throughout the race. So, what was the strategy tonight? It seemed like you were kind of in that pack there that was up front, but you guys were allowing Blake Thronberg to just kind of set his own pace a little bit farther out in front of you. Were you saving at that moment, or was it just kind of running with the pack that was up front?
I mean, I really fell back more than I wanted to. I wanted to run inside the top 3 for the whole race and kind of just see what them guys were doing. I got in the back of the 3 car a little bit and had to check up, and I don't know who it was drove to my inside, so I had to run outside on the outside for 10 laps, and I was really worried about using too much up there, and I was just trying to be really cautious about my rear tires and not spin them. And then we got settled into third there behind Ricky, I believe it was, and I felt like I was better than him, but he's fighting for an overall championship. I'm not going to dive it in on him. I was just trying to stay tucked to him, put pressure on him, see if he made a mistake, and finally one of them restarts it worked out where I could stay under him, and me and Blake just felt like we had the best 2 cars and drove away from them.
Well, Kevin, you're not in the playoffs runs, but you do still have a chance at the SimRat market bonus. $25 to the driver that's not playoff eligible that scores the most points in the final 3 races. So you're heading into Richmond. You're a leg up on everybody else in that regard. You being the highest finishing non-playoff driver. How do you feel about going to Richmond and then Myrtle Beach? Are those tracks that you feel like you can be successful at?
Richmond, kind of unknown, for me anyways. I know a lot more guys have experience there and supers and stuff. I really haven't raced there in either one of these cars. Myrtle Beach, I feel pretty comfortable with. Love that track, so I feel good. This is definitely a step in the right direction. Just got to keep the momentum going and finish in the top 3 each week.
Well, Kevin, you already gave a shout out to Elite Performance Industries, obviously all over the race car as we stare at it right now. Who else would you like to give a shout out to tonight? I mean, obviously, a lot of people help each other on this simulation and get each other fast, and I think you and Blake kind of both feel the same way about API. Who else? Who else do you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I'd definitely like to thank my brother. He designed this awesome looking car. He doesn't really have a big page or whatever, but definitely reach out to him if you need anything designed. Don't matter what it is, he's got you covered. Um, Actually, my boss, Dylan Ward Racing, got to shout out them. He teaches me a lot about driving. Um, so definitely have to shout out him. EPI, you got to shout out them. They do a killer job with their house drivers and their development drivers. They're top notch, and they make everybody better. That's part of their program.
Well, Kevin, congratulations on another fantastic finish. You've had a pretty good run of races here in the Challenger Series. We look forward to seeing how that goes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for putting this on, and look forward to next week.
Well, now joining us, our third place finisher, Dylan Schreiner. And Dylan, it's been a while since we got to talk to you in ITZR, but you come back to the Challenger Series this season, new car, new thing to learn here. You've been on the sim for a long time. How does this car compare to anything you've ever driven in the past?
You can really drive these cars aggressive, but the tire wear is kind of tricky because you really got to manage being able to drive the car aggressive and it can handle it and burning up your tires there, especially toward the end of the race.
Well, Dylan, you're probably one of the what do we call it? The oldest tenured veterans in any of our
Yeah.
series right now. I mean, you're almost one of the original guys from the old late model. I mean, you were in the old late model shootout series, the Open series. But how much fun is this group of drivers to race with? I mean, this is a great car. We've seen really great racing with this car. But how much fun are you having night in and night out with this series?
It's been a ton of fun, man. Coming back, I took a little bit of time off. We did a lot of real racing, and iRacing kind of got put on the back burn. But I came back, decided to go to the Challenge Series and kind of regroup and kind of relearn who was in the league, who I can race against, who I can't. And I tell you what, these guys challenge. This Challenger Series is no joke. These guys are good. So I'm having a ton of fun though.
Well, Dylan, we always like to talk to the guys about their real life racing, and a lot of guys out there racing at Charlotte. What is next up for you? I know you got the IMSA stock car. What is next up for you out there in Texas?
Yeah, June 31st or 30th, whatever the last day is, and July 1st, we're at Heart of Texas Speedway for a 5,000 to win show. That's probably our next big race, and then we have some weekly stuff lined up, and then we're headed off to Iowa for Super Nationals at the beginning of September.
Sounds like a lot. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we're patiently waiting for the rain to kind of get out of here, and we've been rained out so much this year, it's been crazy.
Well, talk about the race car, Dylan. Obviously, U.S. Air Force on the hood. We've talked about it. You are in the Air Force. So what do you got going on? I mean, kind of give us an explanation of where the paint scheme comes from. And I also want to know, what is the E?
The E is for my daughter. I have a 2-year-old daughter, Ella. So we decided when we had her, with the copy of numbers at the dirt track, we needed to get a letter on there. And I figured what better way than to throw an E on there. And then as far as the Air Force is concerned, I'm almost 10 years in now. I've been, for the first 8.5 or 9 years, I was a structural maintenance aircraft guy. And now I'm a recruiter out in Texas. And it's been a huge change of pace going from long shifts on the flight line to sitting in an office for 8 hours a day.
Well, Dylan, it seems like you at least get a little bit more sim racing time now, so that's a benefit, right?
Yeah, I get a lot of time at home, my family, a lot of time on the sim. I race about 2 nights a week on the sim, so that's about all I get with my real racing stuff taking obviously a priority, but I've been having a ton of fun.
Well, Dylan, who do you want to give a shout out to tonight? I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about the U.S. Air Force because everybody sees that on the card. I've talked about how you're in the Air Force. I wanted a little more detail, so I appreciate it, man. I just wanted that to get aired, but we appreciate your service as usual. But who do you want to give a shout out to tonight that, well, I mean, it has helped you with this car? I mean, you're kind of new to it, so has anybody helped you get up to speed?
No, I mean, other than just, kind of watching the shootout series guys a little bit when, before I get in here and talking to some of the guys in Discord before the race, you guys are, kind of give me a little bit of insight on what went on the night before. And, some of the guys that drop in, Reagan Parent's another one, Bladen Edwards, those guys that are up in the top end echelon of the series are, they're open books. They're willing to help out and kind of talk me through the line and how we need to, what I need to change or whatever. And then, as far as thanking people, mainly my wife and for letting me jump on here and play video games one night a week and taking care of the daughter. And then ironically, Jeff By Senior is like my biggest fan on the Facebook live stream. So shout out to Senior. I haven't seen him in a long time, so just wanted to say hey to him.
Well, Dylan, it's good to have you back in ITZR, and it's fun to always have a familiar face and somebody to talk to in these interviews that we've gotten to know over the years. So congratulations, fantastic run! I think you're probably your best finish since you got back into the sim racing. So you're heading in the right direction now.
Yeah, I just need to figure out how to qualify. I'm so sick of being a plus 10, a plus 12, a plus 15 every week. I need to figure out how to start 10th and go from there.
All right, man. Well, good job, and we look forward to seeing you. You're still part of that SimRap market challenge. $25 to the best non-playoff driver over these next 3 races, and you've got a, pretty good head start there with Kevin Ammon and that challenge.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys putting that together in this whole league.
All right, Dylan. See you next week.
See ya.
Well, Bill, that is going to be a wrap for us tonight. I mean, there was more cautions than there was on Monday, but there was still some pretty exciting racing all throughout the field. These guys really got after it from the drop of the green flag tonight.
I think getting after it is the correct way to say it, Jeff. Unfortunately, that cost some yellows. But, I mean, unfortunate for those 2 guys to get dropped out of the playoffs, but I'm excited to watch the last 6 go for the playoffs next week at Richmond. I hope that these guys bring a little bit better game, because Richmond's going to be very interesting when it comes to tire wear and getting around that place, just like tonight was, but I think it's going to be even more important next week at Richmond. So I'm looking forward to watching those 6 guys go for the Final 4, as they will try to make it into the Final 4 at Myrtle Beach the week after.
Yeah, absolutely. So remember, next week at Richmond, it is 104 lapper, 126 kilometers for the Daniel Williamson Memorial, 126 at Richmond. That is presented by SPM, Superior Performance Motorsports. And this is one of our favorite races. We hate that we have to have it, but we love the tribute to Daniel Williamson every season. It is a staple now at ITZR. We will always remember Daniel Williamson, longtime racer with us, that unfortunately passed away. It was now almost over a year ago.
It's actually almost 2 years ago now, Jeff.
Yeah, and he is still definitely missed by so many in the community. You do not want to miss that next week. Monday and Tuesday night, the Daniel Williamson Memorial 126 presented by SPM. And Bill, we talked about getting after it early on in these races. Thursday night, we'll be back in action for the Sarah Super Series, the Pierce Fleet Service Super Series at the Nashville Mini. It's basically the Bowman Gray of online sim racing. And there's not going to be a whole lot of tire saving going on in that racetrack. It is go or go home.
I'm just going to cover my eyes for most of that race, Jeff. I'll let you call it, and I'm probably going to wear a helmet as well.
Yeah, that is everybody we've heard from is excited to do it, but they're also a little nervous, right, about how it can go. We can't wait to see it. Make sure you're with us on Thursday night. We go live with Sarah about 10 p.m. Eastern, so a little bit later than we did tonight. Make sure you're following along with them on their Facebook page, along with In the Zone Racing. Thank you to everybody that hung out all night long on In the Zone Racing on the Facebook page, on the YouTube channel, the Braxton DeWeese Fan Club. You guys were out and about again. That's awesome. Thank you to everybody that watches on Twitch. We will see you Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern.